Hello, everybody. Welcome to another week of Enjoying Orange Slice with Jeff and Ian. This week we talk about the start of the NHL season, talk a little bit about TNT and ESPN, as well as Sportsnet and CBC in Canada, talking about how they broadcast their hockey. A big week. I know we surprised some of you by being here because Ian said we weren't going to be, but we rose above and we made it. So 33 minutes and 33 seconds that you'll never get back if you listen to all of it. But that's our boy Flatz's number. Wade Flaherty, 33. Enjoy.
Surprise, Jeff. We're taping a show, even though we said we were not going to tape a show. You were flying Monday, and I wouldn't have been able to tape a show even if you weren't flying because the wind here was so bad we didn't have the internet. So welcome back.
Yeah. I know we it's a surprise. It's like, finding an extra gift under the Christmas tree, right?
Right?
We're back.
Everybody's going to be, what's going on? I don't understand. I thought they weren't going to do it. NHL season has started. You've already got one game under your belt. You went to opening night, Seattle Kraken versus the Las Vegas Knights, even though you want to call them the Vegas Knights. How crazy was that building?
Well, it was great. It was loud. It took a little bit of time for that game to get going. When LA or San Jose comes in, team that's kind of got a little bit of a rivalry with them, Colorado, it's buzzing. But it took a while because Seattle's brand new. But it got going. The Knights kind of got up on them a little bit, and everybody was sitting there on their, having a great time. All of a sudden, Seattle scored 2 in a row, and then the game was on. The last 30 minutes of the game was fantastic. We can go into in depth a little bit more about it if you want, but it really got going in there. And of course, it's always loud at T-Mobile.
It's always loud at T-Mobile. I felt when I was watching a little bit of that game. It felt like Seattle was a little nervous. Although they started off really fast, they were very fast at the beginning. They just seemed a little gun shy, and then as soon as they scored, you could feel a sigh of relief, and that's when they kind of came together. How Grubauer was just so smooth, even though he lost that game. The smoothness in his game is insane. I don't know if you did you have him for one period at your end, or what did you have?
No, he was down on our end twice, and the first goal Pacioretty got on him, it's just kind of a goal scorer's goal. I think probably, I don't want to say he lost his net. I've never played goal other than street hockey, so I'm not going to sit there and be an expert. But I'll make an opinion on it. I think he'd probably like to have that one back. But both goalies made some big saves. Turned out to be an exciting game, 4-3. Grubauer's going to have to stand on his head. We talked about that before with Seattle. What happened to Seattle is I thought they carried the play for a good part of the game, especially early in the game, and then there'd be a defensive breakdown and Vegas would take advantage of them and score. And that's basically what happened. And so Seattle started to get going. I like their defense. I think they're going to be pretty solid. I don't know how much they're going to score, but they are fast. And it's just nice to see an expansion team come in and be competitive like Vegas was. Now look at where Vegas is. Not like when you and I grew up and these teams would come in and be awful forever. So
they'd be shy. They'd be suckered for their money. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you for paying to get in, and then just give them shit. I thought, here's the two things that I thought. I thought how fast Seattle was and how well they were playing against Vegas, which means how well they're going to play against teams like Calgary, Anaheim, Vancouver, Edmonton. It's going to be, if anybody thinks they're going to be slouches, they're not, because they were able to keep up with Vegas quite well. So, which takes us to another game where in Edmonton, they've already started the parade for the Stanley Cup because they beat Vancouver. But I would say Edmonton should be more concerned about the fact that they were just suddenly, it was 2-0, and then it was 2-2, and they did not seem to have much defense again. I would not be celebrating that, getting 2 points over Vancouver when they got 1 point, and they should have gotten 0. So at the same time, Vancouver played much better than I thought they would.
Well, you've got two teams there. I watched that game last night. We're taping this on Thursday. Wow. We're every day of the week now when we can slide this in. But what I see with Edmonton is a super fast team. Same with Vancouver. So we can talk about the Pacific in a minute. We'll move on to some of the other divisions as well. But what I see in the Pacific is teams that can absolutely fly. At least Edmonton, Seattle was impressive. Vegas can skate, and so can Vancouver. Now, what happened up in Edmonton? The question I have after the end of that game is, how many nights can you play Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl 24, 25 minutes? It's one
Mhm.
thing to play a defenseman that much. It's another thing to play guys, your forwards that much. And I mean, they were out there all over the overtime, so they might have been even higher. But I'm going to say around 24 and 25 minutes, which made me think over an 82 game schedule. Plus, both those guys are going to play in the Olympics. They're going to need to be able to lock it down. They're going to need a little bit of help with their depth. But the Pacific is going to be exciting because outside of Calgary, with Daryl there, and Vegas can check too, and Calgary's going to check. Daryl's going to make them check. It's going to be pretty wide open in this division. So it might not get all the props. It might get kind of beat up a little bit as everyone thinking it's the weaker division, but the Pacific will be exciting because teams can skate and they're not afraid to trade chances. We'll see if where Calgary fits into all that, but the rest of those teams
Also,
are high end.
Seattle and Vegas are huge. They were. I had no idea Fleury from Seattle was so big. They just happened to have a camera angle there, and I was just like, holy, shit, he's just a monster of a man.
Well,
And I don't.
he is a big kid. Yeah, there's no question about that. And I mean, Alexiak's what, 6'7", 6'8". Larson's 6'3", 6'4". Susie didn't even play the other night. I think he was on COVID. One of their D's, 6'5", the kid they got from Mini. So, yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to look up McDavid here as we talk, but um, it's going to be Seattle's a big team. And what impressed me about Seattle was um, the most was I like their pace. They got a lot of guys that can really skate. Obviously, they had some guys that are out. Vegas has got some guys that are out. Everybody's got guys that are going to be injured during the year, but the kids they plugged into the lineup were
Mhm.
very quick. And Vegas, to me, well, I'm interested to see because obviously they're loaded. They got the experience, but it might take a little, they might have to work their way through the wilderness here a little bit this year. Might be a little different year for Vegas. I still think that they're going to be there in the end, but I
I don't
don't
think that's a
know
bad thing. I don't think that's
if
a
it's
bad
going to
thing.
be like it has to.
I don't think
No,
that's a bad thing
not at
having
all.
you work your way because you know how many teams don't work their way through things. Like look at Tampa 3 years ago when they just flew through everybody and then stopped by Columbus in the first round in 4 games. You know, you have to. I think it's better to grind it out and then be ready for it. Um, I was going to say the thing about those large players and Edmonton's big boys who score all the points is even Connor McDavid's a big man, but if you're just putting in that kind of pressure all the time, it's just going to wear you down, and it's not going to be there.
Yeah.
Also, I think you have to play this year thinking that 2 of your best players are going to be out. You kind of have to have that mentality. You can't have a mentality that everybody's going to be healthy.
Well, it was here's let's just talk about this for a second. You brought up a lot of good points, but one of the things, how great
Fantastic.
was it to see fans in the stands in Canada once again? They've been down here for a while, so you're going to
Mhm.
have a lot more emotion in these games than you did have. You're going to have these guys, the best players, representing their countries in the Olympics. You're right, and 82 games, like this thing's kind of been chopped up a little bit over the last year and a half, 2 years. On how they're trying to get this thing figured out. And now, you're gonna. This is gonna be a long haul for some of these guys, and the emotions that the fans are going to be in every building in the league are going to make a difference in these games too.
Mhm.
And when guys maybe don't have it one night, the fans are going to help bring it out of them. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see when. And talking about players that are like a guy like McDavid, he's going to be front and center from here until the Oilers either win it all or get knocked out because he's going to lead them. He's going to be the superstar of the league. He's probably going to lead in scoring, and he'll be the superstar of Canada in the Olympics. So this
Mhm.
guy's got a full plate. But if you watch him out there again last night, it's just fabulous. I mean, it's so much fun to watch him.
He's great. He's great. That was a good game. So the other game in Canada was Toronto and Montreal. I didn't find that on TV at all. I'm thinking about buying the ESPN Plus. I think that's what I'm going to get instead of NHL. It's interesting how many. Well, I'm going to go away a little bit. We're going to talk about TV coverage.
Okay.
We're going to talk about TNT. We're going to talk about ESPN, but we're going to start out with the NHL Network, who has also got some games this year. You know what their first game is that they're playing? They're playing Arizona Buffalo. That's their
Oh my
first game.
goodness.
I'm like,
Marquee.
no. And we have a ratings of 3 people, their parents. That's
Well, I will say this much. You know what? Let's give those two teams a little bit of love, and
nope.
I hope they both are competitive. I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
I can't give Buffalo love until their ownership gets it right with whatchamacallit. See, there we go. Let me just lay
Oh,
down.
what's his name's back this week? Hey, what's his face? Remember that?
What's his face?
Oh my goodness! We're still trying to find Dubois wingers, right? Up in Winnipeg, wasn't that where that came from?
Yeah, that's what it was.
Oh my goodness!
So, but yeah, I can't cheer for them, and I don't know, but Arizona, I just their ownership is there's 2 bad ownerships, and that's Buffalo and Arizona. Arizona's ownership is trying to work a thing for gambling where they have to own an arena, so that's how they can do their gambling out of that arena. So I don't trust anything they're up to. So I will not give them props. There we go. Even though there's some great players on both teams and I want them to play well, I will not give the jerseys props.
Okay, but how about giving them a little credit for trying to be creative? I mean, it's not like they're putting it down in a city that is a slam dunk. Like, you know, Montreal could have 2 teams. New York has 3 in the area. Like, you know, you got to be a little creative. And Vegas found lightning in a bottle out here. And Arizona kind of, you know, it just I don't know. They need to change the battery out and try and start that motor again. And this is, I think, the way they're trying to do it. So let's see.
What's funny? You know what's funny is
let's at least say they're trying to be creative. You know, and we all know that casinos and lotteries and all that other stuff bring in a lot of money. So
right.
maybe it turns into a destination. You go for the buffet, pull a couple slots, and go to a hockey game. You know, it sounds like Vegas.
All right. Well, Vegas got another help from the Las Vegas Raiders when they fired their coach on Monday night just before the thing. They're like, the Las Vegas team is just, everything goes our way. Thumbs up. What did you think? I watched on ESPN. I watched Pittsburgh and Tampa. Pittsburgh shocked me. 2 amazing players out by some names, something Sidney Crosby or something like that, and some other guy, some other Russian, McRussian, couldn't play. And they still took it to Tampa quite well. And the question coming out of Pittsburgh was going to be their goaltending. And I thought Yari was great.
Well, you know, I think that Tampa Bay is probably still a little hungover from the parade. Played a lot of hockey the last 2 years, and it was a pretty quick turnaround for them. Vegas kind of looked a little flat to me the other night as well. So I'm interested to see what the teams that went the furthest look like. Obviously, you know, Tampa's got the Stanley Cup until someone takes it from them. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Tampa have to kind of find their way.
There's an X on their back every night they play. But I thought it was great because we picked that. I did not think Pittsburgh would make it into the playoffs and was going to be disappointed in the Pittsburgh this year. But their first game was, you know, they're trying. So that's what they're not giving up for sure.
Well, they've made some changes, right? And they got Berkey there, and they got Hextall. So these guys have been around the league a long time. And you know, they brought in some guys that are getting an opportunity to play. And what a nice way to start the season by knocking off Tampa Bay, because you know Tampa Bay is going to get theirs again. But just looked a little bit hungover to me the other night watching them, a little flat. And Vegas kind of was hit and miss the other night as well. I thought they had moments where they were really good, and I thought they had moments where they just weren't quite there. So look for these teams, Montreal being another one, maybe be a little flat to start the year along with the Islanders.
I also think that with Vegas, it can be a struggle because you don't have any hate against Seattle yet. You know, there's no rivalry started yet. You're kind of still welcome. It's hard to get up for.
Right. So, well, a lot of changes here too, and a lot of changes in Tampa. I guess you could say the same thing about Montreal. New York Islanders, which was the other Final Four team, kind of still intact, but I got to move on and give a little love to our the Flower. It was I love the Blackhawks. I love the original six teams, but it was tough to see them last night in Colorado. The shots at one point in the first period were 17-2 for Colorado over Chicago.
And
He was able to glue it together and kind of keep them in the game. But I really hope that Chicago has a good year. I know Colorado will. And I hope
I'm
they
worried about
can.
them.
Yeah, I'd like to see. It was tough, I mean, the guy's playing for original six team. What an honor that is. But at the same
Mhm.
time, after seeing him in the Vegas Golden Knights and Pittsburgh before that, but really put Vegas, not only the team and the city, on the map. So it'll take a little while. We're going to pull for him, but it was a tough night for Chicago last night. But a positive, Jonathan Taves back in the lineup, so that's huge. Expect them to get better, and he'll definitely give them the goaltending they need. So we'll
When you
see
hear
what.
17-2, you do not expect Taves and Kane to be on the bottom end of those numbers. That's
No, for
crazy.
sure. Especially Nathan McKinnon never played last night because he's in COVID protocol. So um, Colorado looks like they're motivated and ready to go. They
They should be
caught Chicago early, and so look out. But again, that division we talked about the Pacific earlier. The Central is so thick with talent and loaded. Um, that's gonna be rough. That division is gonna. Winnipeg got off to a little bit of a bumpy start, but expect them to be there as well.
Winnipeg, it seemed like they forgot to get off the plane, to be honest with you. They they were after everything. They must have been listening to all the hype that they were getting. Everybody, oh, Winnipeg is going to be surprised. Winnipeg is going to be surprised. Well, they were not the surprise we were expecting. They were the
No,
opposite of a surprise.
no,
They
no.
were flat. Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
well,
And Anaheim outshone their jerseys. They were better than their jerseys. They have a guy in there. I think did somebody start with Anaheim? Did I see this stat yesterday? Their first 18-year-old that they
yep.
drafted.
McTavish. Yep. So youngest player ever to score
Hmm.
for the Anaheim Ducks. McTavish got one in the first period against Winnipeg. Winnipeg got off to a slow start. Be nice to see
I
Anaheim
got off
start
to a
to
slow
recover.
ending.
What's that?
They had a slow ending too. They didn't.
Yeah, that's tough. When you don't expect a team like Anaheim I mean, maybe they're going to be there. We don't know. There's 81 games to go, so they're 1-0. But Winnipeg plays Anaheim 3 times in October, and then I think they're done with them. So you got to kind of get the points when you're supposed to be a team like Winnipeg. They got to get the points from Anaheim, or some points the next 2 games they play them, because Anaheim's not one of those teams that you're looking at right now to make a run at it to get in. And although their goaltending is fantastic and they do have solid D, you don't expect that with what you've seen over the last couple of years, unless their development takes a big step forward this year. So Winnipeg has them twice more in October. They got to get those games.
It might be good to get that surprise out, and maybe this slaps Winnipeg into never taking anything for sure again, and having to put a full effort in every game, because there was definitely not a full effort in. Did you watch that game? You watched that game, right?
Yeah, I watched part of that game. I was watching that game, and I was watching the Vancouver Edmonton game. And Vancouver and Edmonton always seems to be such an entertaining game.
Good rivalry.
Yeah, they're back and forth. So many good young players on both teams, and
Didn't get
pretty
to see.
exciting. But I started the night by watching the great eight, Ovi, who was a game time decision. All he did was get 4 points, and they beat down the Rangers pretty good in opening night in Washington.
How great was that thing I sent you, that commercial yesterday? Oh,
Oh
so
yeah.
funny.
We got to put that up or tell people. And we're not,
I'll
we're
put it up.
not, we haven't
Put it up.
signed the deal with Mass Mutual yet. We're still in contract negotiations with them. But
Yeah.
Obi does a Mass Mutual commercial. Just Google it.
Him
With
and Backstrom.
who's they do it with? Backstrom?
Backstrom, yeah.
Backstrom and Ovi's
And
wife.
his wife.
That's his wife. And it is hilarious. And so you got to love this guy. So,
Not taking yourself serious goes a long way in life, people. And that, if you learn anything from that commercial, relax a little bit. let let it just what did Guns N' Roses say? Guns N' Roses, they said, just a little patience. Anyways, who's been your favorite network to watch on? We got new networks. We got we're going to
Mhm.
bring it up before. We got TNT's got it.
Mhm.
ESPN's got it again. Of course, CBC is Rogers still has it, which will always be my favorite. But which one did
Mhm.
you watch last night? I watched Pittsburgh Tampa on ESPN. Butch Gross called that
Oh,
game.
Butchie, yeah, yeah, big time hockey fan.
Big time
Okay.
and great voice, and I think he was fun to listen to. I don't know who his cohort was with him, but I thought they were great together. Some of the camera angles, I don't know if I care for. I felt a little uneasy. Not like it's a bad camera angle, but made me feel a little sick, to be honest with
Like
you.
you'd hit some turbulence.
Yeah,
Yeah, you had to put your seatbelt on? Is that what yeah,
yeah.
the,
I I screamed at the flight attendant, "This guy doesn't know what he's doing."
the NFL does the overhead kinda drone, or they got that thing on a wire, and it goes back and forth. I think it kinda show kickoffs and stuff like that. I think they do the high view. NHL, it can be a little queasy, but I think they're just trying to be innovative, and they're trying to change the game, and the nice thing in the States now is you've got some competition. You got ESPN going against TNT. And Ian watched ESPN and he liked it, although he wasn't sure about the
Well,
overhead camera angle.
here's why I don't like the overhead. I like it in football. It's still a little weird in football, but football moves so much slower than hockey. Hockey moves so fast and then switches directions. Like
Yeah, and
football,
it's a confined area, right? Versus you get a lot more. The field's a lot wider in football. But
right?
um, I don't know. I watched TNT. I thought it was they for opening night. I thought they did a great job. They got Gretz is on there. I mean, getting Gretz on there is massive. And then we got Anson Carter's on there, and he came over from NBCSN. And then Biz is on there, and from Spittin' Chicklets, and Paul Bissonnette, who's hilarious. And then
Hilarious.
you got Talkit, who I love. Talkit. We've talked in length about him before, or at length about him before here, when he was coaching with Arizona and the first game ever in Vegas, and after they got just drubbed big time. That was just after 1 October. Talk kept his team on the ice to give the wave and sticks to the crowd and afterwards, and real classy guy. And I thought Talk last night was phenomenal. Everyone
Mhm.
thought that there was going to be this big blow up in the Washington Ranger game. Talk said, no way. It's not going to happen last night. Laviolette's not going to put Wilson on the ice at the same time as Reeves. Never did happen. I don't even remember. I watched most of the game. I don't remember seeing them out there together. And Washington looked really good. Rangers looked a little stiff. Rangers play again as we're taping this tonight on a Thursday for their home opener. But those two will connect at some point in those two teams. But Tockett's just coming right from behind the bench and being able to project and get out what he wants easily for people to understand was great. So, and Liam McHugh's hosting it, and Charles Barkley showed up. So I thought
Mhm.
TNT did a great job. And it was Eddie Olczyk, Keith Jones, and Kenny Albert on the call in the Washington game.
You can't go wrong with that call.
No,
That's a
great,
great
great.
call.
Yeah. And so again, we're going to see some competition in the States, which is going to be great. I also watched Rogers Sportsnet up in Canada on the call in Edmonton, and they did a great job too. So Canada has the way they present it. The States, I think, is still trying to figure out what way they want to go. And you and I have talked about this at length. Is we would love to see them go the entertainment way. So bringing Barkley on,
Mhm.
having Biz on, Paul Bissonnette, looser, entertaining, fun, joking. Anson Carter is joking around last night. These guys are having a good time, and I think that will really help the telecast down here.
And they're gonna find their legs as they go along. I would say
Mhm.
it's gonna get even better. So, nothing starts out never the first one is never the strongest. So the fact that it was good is great. So I
Yeah,
like that.
and Gretz being on there, he's got to be the kindest player ever. That complimenting everyone, never talks about himself, and he's only was they don't call him the great one for nothing. So pretty impressive to get
My,
him on board.
my favorite part was they put Barkley in net and then shot pucks at him. I was like, and they expected him to save one. I'm like, they didn't give him pads. They didn't give him pads or a jock. I'm like, oh, that poor son.
I don't, I don't know, but Barkley was giving everyone a rough ride too, so it was pretty funny. And the best show on TV, Ian, you tell everyone what the best show on TV is.
Squid Games.
Squid Games, okay.
Oh, which is the best show on TV?
The intermission of the NBA games on TNT was Shaq.
Oh, sorry, yeah, you got me. I thought we were still talking about hockey. Yeah, that's definitely absolutely the best. And network TV is stupid. They are the dumbest people ever because they play everything safe. And this is not that when you're dealing with the streaming and all that right now, they can't play safe. So TNT doing it and not playing safe is the smartest one out there. They're the network that's going to survive, even though they're cable. NBC was just so safe. They were just so safe. Oh, we got to be concerned about that lady that's going to get offended. That's never going to buy any of the stuff or watch a full game. You can't be concerned about everybody. You just have to do what you do and clean up the mess afterwards.
Yeah. Well, and that's exactly it. And up in Canada, I mean, we got TSN up there too. So I don't want everyone to get all fired up at me and say, well, you don't know what you're talking about. There's two up there as well. And so they compete with each other. But if you look at the Canadian television, it's a little bit more about the game and this and that. Down here, I think you got to try and go, and I would push for entertainment. I think Bieksa, he can be really good. He can be really dry and entertaining, but the guy played the game at a super high level, and he does a really good job, doing some color commentating and talking about what's going on. But he's got an edge to him, and he's, and that's, I think there's some entertainment value by going off of, hey, this is an X and O, this should have happened here and there, and I think that's what they're going to be trying to do down here. And I think they'll get more people to watch the sport. And we just kind of hope that Seattle, as the 32nd team coming in, has some success so we can get a buzz up in the Pacific Northwest of the United States, and they'll have their built-in rival with Vancouver in a way they'll go, so we'll see how this all turns out.
And it's funny with that Rogers CBC Sportsnet intermission, they've got basically 3 reporters and 1 athlete. They're the opposite of the TNT, where it's 1 reporter and 4 athletes.
Yeah.
Oh, it's very interesting.
I mean, when I think about watching hockey at home, I think of Scott Oak. I just think of a guy like that does such a great job. He's been there forever. Chris Cuthbert, these guys that have been around for a long, long time. It's good to see a young guy who BX is. He's still a young guy come in. Elliot Friedman does a great job for them as well. There's lots of people up there that do a good job, but
I like the old game where they'd circle things and say, kids at home, don't do this. They don't do that very much anymore, right? Like, because kids at home, your stick should not be anywhere near this area. It should be over here. Kids at home. They used to just always say, like, I love that. That's how you build it. Oh, they're talking to me. They know how I play.
Yeah, exactly. And don't do this, but don't give you the right way to do it. But we'll see. I like I said, it's exciting. It's the start of the new season. Mm-hmm. The superstars were super in the first few games. Stone was unbelievable along with Pacioretty in the Vegas game. Ovi was incredible in the Washington game. McDavid was McDavid. And a guy, we'll get a quick plug in for your team. Pettersson was amazing for Vancouver. And then, Landeskog did his thing in Colorado and on and on. So we're looking forward to it. It's going to be a heck of a run, and hopefully, we'll get her going right to the Olympics, and the Olympics will be even more entertaining than the regular season.
Okay, we're gonna make a little gamble here. We're gonna say who's gonna be first place going into the All-Star Olympic break. There's no All-Star game, right? Because there's an Olympics. Is that how it is?
No, All-Star weekend's in Vegas this year, February 4th, 5th, and 6th. I do believe. I might be wrong, but it's Vegas, baby.
I can't believe I'm gonna be at your house that weekend.
I get we got the other room set up for you already. So.
Awesome. So going into the All-Star break, who's in first place in league overall in the league?
Oh, overall in the league, who's in first place? You know what? I think that this team, it's easy to pick Colorado, but I'll go off the board a little bit. I'm gonna go with not really a surprise, but I think the Islanders will kind of get
Ooh.
out in front, and I think they'll have a. I just think the way they play is so tough. And I mean, next week we can talk about uh, different divisions, the way some teams play, but the Islanders kind of play a playoff game every night,
Mhm.
and in over 82 games, some of the other teams want to go back and forth, and the Islanders aren't really big on that. So I'm going to say I think the Islanders could be as we go to the break first overall.
Okay, I'm gonna go with Toronto. I know.
Right?
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna say. I'm just gonna say, I think that they are on a mission this year. I don't think they had the toughest team in Montreal last night. They were missing some players, but I think they've got to be in a mission. But I'm gonna go for our friend Luciano Cosmomare. I'm gonna say it's gonna be Montreal, but at the same time, I'm gonna say they're still gonna not make it out of the first round in the play,
Okay.
even though
Oh man,
we're only
you
going
took
we're
'em.
only going we're only going we're only going to All-Star break. So All-Star break, Toronto Maple Leafs.
Okay.
All right. Let's get
Okay.
some shout outs in
You
and let's
ready? Okay. Am I going to go first this week? Because
yeah, about
we
time.
always we take about 3 or 4 minutes. Okay, so I got
I
a couple
forgot to
shout
actually even
outs.
write one down.
What?
I forgot to
What?
even write one down.
Okay, I'll give you 2.
Okay.
First of all, I may even do 3 today. The natural hat trick. Okay, number 1, shout out to Seattle Kraken and the whole NHL to get this 30-second team in. The unis are great. They look like they're going to be competitive. And so there's number 1 shout out. I just think it's great. Evens out the schedule for everyone, West divisions and the Eastern divisions. So that's great. Number 2, it's nice to see hockey and superstars around hockey. Last night watching TNT, Brett's back on the air. Mess is back on the air with ESPN, and Charles Barkley popping by to say hi to promote the game. So that is awesome. I think that bodes well for hockey in general. And then the third one is our friend Snacks. Corey Hirsch, who's up doing the radio for Sportsnet. I think it was at 650 up in Vancouver or something like that.
Right.
Anyways, he does the Canucks game with Brendan Batchelor, best radio or 2 of the best in the league on the radio. Hershey is going to be doing the Canucks games TV Friday, Saturday, Tuesday, and Thursday. The next 4 for this Friday, which is what I don't even know what day. What's it? The 15th?
Tomorrow.
No, Friday's tomorrow. So it's the 13th today, is it? I don't even know. Anyways, Friday,
What's today?
Saturday, Tuesday, and Thursday. Tune in. He'll be on Sportsnet up in Canada. If you got a dish or you got the hockey package, Hershey does a great job. He'll be on the call with John Shorthouse, who's fantastic as well. So go get him, Hershey.
Is
Over to
Garrett
you, Lord.
is Garrett sick or what's going on?
Yeah, Garrett's out. He's out 7 to 10. I think he's not feeling great, but they say he's on the road to recovery.
Well, hopefully it feels good. You know, I heard a story about him that he has a hockey card where he's fully dressed and he's player and general manager, assistant general manager.
That's awesome.
That was back in the day. That was back in the day where you could run the whole team, and now you make so much money you can own the whole team. I'm going to give a shout out to Ottawa Senators getting it done. Finally, something done nice. Keith Tkachuk's boy. One of them, I don't know which Tkachuk it is. I'm going to say one of Keith's sperms just signed a deal with the old Ottawa Senators for $56 million over 8 years. I think it was 7 or 8 years. And just impressive that that town has that kind of money to pay a young man like that. So big shout out to Ottawa. I know you guys are going to enjoy skating on the canals this year, knowing that young Tkachuk is going to be there for a while. So enjoy yourselves, Ottawa, you crazy sons of bitches. Ottawa, shout out.
Love to all.
Love to all.
Well, everybody, that's another week of enjoying orange slices in the books, I guess. Thanks for joining us this week. We'll actually try and get back to you on Monday next week, get back on our schedule. But with both of us being back at work, it's been a little bit crazy. So enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the NHL. And that's all. Love to all.